my channel. Now, by the title of this video, you know what it is. I am doing a review on Citizen Kane, and this is my new series that I'm going to do. I'm going to be reviewing iconic movies that I personally have never seen. I thought it would be a good idea to put this on my channel because these are movies that I really do want to get around to watching. I just haven't yet because of personal feelings or time or whatever the case might be, or age, honestly. So with that being said, we're just gonna get right into the video. So the thing about this new series and the thing about this video today is it's actually going to be pretty short. I'm not going to be doing a full depth review. I'm just going to give you my personal opinion about these movies, and this is really just a review for those people who are like me, who just haven't had the time to get around to watching these movies. Maybe they don't really feel connected, or they're just like, oh, I'm okay, like, I don't know, just not my style, not my taste. So this is what this whole series is about. So technically, I'm in Gen Z. I thought I was a millennial. Boo-hoo, sad. I'm kind of upset about it. But I technically am a part of the Gen Z generation, and my birthday falls in 98, and I believe it starts with 97. So yeah, so Citizen Kane is a movie that I'm pretty sure a lot of people in my generation haven't seen. I mean, it's not what's hot, it's not on the 411. People aren't like, girl, did you see Citizen Kane last night? No, I don't think so. Citizen Kane came out around 1941. It is an older film. It came out right after the Great Depression, so once it was over and we started getting back on top. Now that also played a big part in why this movie is so iconic. For those who kind of teeter on the lines of, oh, I don't really like black and white films, I'm not really a silent film person, older films don't really do it for you, I definitely recommend not to watch this movie, just because if you're just someone who just has experienced older films and you personally are just like, I don't care how good it is, it's just not my cup of tea, I 100% get it. I recommend you not watch this film. If you're also someone who doesn't really like slow movies with just a lot of talking, there's not a lot of action, you really have to pay attention, I also recommend you don't watch this movie, because that's what this movie is. It's a lot of analyzing and just trying to figure out like what's going on, because not everything is so in your face and so like happening fast, if that makes sense. Now the movie as a whole is good. When I watched it, it took me a minute to really get into it. The beginning kind of put me off a little bit. It's definitely a movie I probably have to watch twice, even though I felt like I got a good, overall picture of it by watching it one time. It's definitely something that I have to watch again, just because I want to say the first hour, you're just kind of like in a daze a little bit, especially somebody in our generation, because we're not used to movies like that. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just one of those movies, either you get it or you don't, if that makes sense. And I got it towards the end. Is it in my top 5? Is it in my top 10? Is it in my top 20? I'm honestly going to say no. But yeah, Charles Foster Kane, he's, taken out of his home life when he's a very young boy. He comes from money. He was poor at the time. He's taken out because now he's gonna be the head of all these newspaper locations set up like all across America. And you just basically see the fall and demise really of Charles Foster Kane. The acting is pretty good. Again, just somebody in our generation, you're not going to understand it in the beginning. Now, if you do, kudos to you, round of applause. But you want to take your time watching this film. You want to pay attention. You want to be in a closed off room, no disruptions, no interruptions, which is how I like to watch a movie anyways, but you get what I'm trying to say. The whole movie is really kind of centered around, like I said, Charles Foster Kane and his death. Now, his death really isn't a spoiler alert. They give it to you right in the beginning of the film, so I'm not giving anything away, but these people, the people that worked for him for this newspaper company, are trying to figure out his last words, what his last words meant, because they're doing like, I believe, an article about him, or they're trying to, put his, Charles Foster Kane in the newspaper. Like, let's write about his death. That's what you do. That's what reporters do. That's what journalists do. And they're trying to figure out why his last word was Rosebud. So the movie is centered around his death and why his last word was Rosebud. And they're trying to figure out who's the last person he talked to. What was his wife's name? What was his mistress's name? Did he have any kids? Did he have any, hidden, things that we didn't know about, like secret safe? Is it a password? Is it a best friend? Like, you just are trying to figure out why his last word was Rosebud. And throughout the film, you're kind of thinking, why is this so important? You're thinking like, this one man, why is he the center of this whole movie? It doesn't really make sense or add up. But at the end of it, you really get to see how it all comes together, which most movies do. But I think this movie is very specific for its time. It just embodies 1941. It embodies post Great Depression. And I think just the aesthetic of it even is like really weird and creepy. And it's just not a movie where you feel at ease, if that makes sense. You're not like, wow, like I'm comfortable, like give me a cup of hot cocoa. You know, you're just like, oh, what's going on with this movie? Once you figure out why Rosebud was his last word, even that depicts the time, 1941, post-Great Depression. And I don't want to give too much away, but if you watch the movie, like I said, it's just really going to come together at the end. And it's one of those movies where it gives you the conclusion, but you kind of have to come up with your own conclusions in a way. Like, well, what does that mean? And it's one of those movies where you definitely think afterwards. You think for yourself. You're like, well, does that mean this? And the hierarchy of society and the economy. Like, you're not just gonna watch the movie and watch the ending and be like, wow, great movie, I'm gonna walk away from that. It's gonna make you think a little bit. It's going to make you realize that this movie really wasn't about this man and his death and why his last word was Rosebud. It talks about more than that. It talks about America, really. It talks about the time of America and society in general, you know, where they stood during that time. And so I definitely think it's a movie that ages well. Even looking back, watching it, seeing similarities that were current to 2021 to this day. And I was just like, wow, like that's really interesting how that's similar to kind of like how the presidency is going this year, or just certain social affairs or current affairs or international affairs. You're just like, wow, like I see very much the same kind of intermingling of how people connect with one another and how people relate to one another in that realm of like politics and just that level tier of it. Just kind of like, ooh, that's a little too similar. Like, I don't like that. And it definitely is the epitome of there's nothing new under the sun. No matter what the time is, no matter what the age is, no matter what the generation is, I think a good movie, period, can relate to any and all. And an even greater movie, an iconic movie, is just going to stretch amongst, I mean, it's timeless, and that's why it's iconic, and that's why it's known as one of the greatest movies ever made. So yeah, guys, that was it. This video, like I said, is going to be really short, and this series is going to consist of very short videos, because I just want to give you my opinion of iconic movies that I personally have never seen, and you know, maybe some of us out there have never seen either. And Citizen Kane is the one I wanted to start with most. It's known as the most iconic, the best movie ever made in cinema history. I had to review it. I say give it a try. Like I said, it wasn't my personal favorite, but good movie regardless. And I like a movie that makes you think. So with that being said, we are done with this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys are being safe. I appreciate you. I love you. My 40 subscribers. Hey y'all, I hope we just grow on this channel. And I'm talking really fast. We out. Bye.